we're going to talk about investing right now. We haven't done that in a little while. There's a lot of investors in the market right now. A lot of people looking. Um, we work with a lot of them. I mean, we do. Gosh, just in July, we will probably put probably about 30 properties on the market that are investor driven. So we're in it pretty big. We understand it. We understand it at an extremely high level. I'm an investor myself. I've worked with investors for years and years and years and years and years. And so I thought what would be interesting, because we obviously just talked about pre-foreclosures, which not only are of an interest to buyers that are just trying to, do anything they can to find opportunity, trying to flip over as many rocks as possible to uncover inventory, right? Inventory is still low. It has been going up a little bit in our market, which is nice to see, as it just kind of balances out a little bit. But I'll tell you, almost anything that we're putting on the market right now is getting multiple offers. And I don't really understand some of the properties that are just sitting, unless they are specialty properties, unless they're in high end price ranges where just the number of buyers for it naturally are going to be much less. But kind of your everyday properties, the ones where there have been other homes that have sold that are similar to it, they should be selling, right? And so if they're not, then that's something we're going to talk about here in just a little while. But as we just put a property under contract in about a week, multiple offers on it. It was on the market for a year and a half before that. So if that's, I guess sidebar, but if you're thinking of selling your property, or you tried selling it and it didn't work, and you've just kind of given up on this process. Remember last week we were talking about kind of the different stages that people go through in this market. They go from, being really, really interested to really frustrated, right? First they have, I think it was fear of missing out. So they had FOMO, which leads to frustration, which leads to forget about it. This market is too hard. It's too tough. It's too hard for me to kind of balance the process of selling my home and buying another. I can't really find what I like. And it's just easier for me to not do anything, even though I'd actually really like to move. So if you're in that position and nothing is obviously forcing you to move, which is what so many people have agreed is their kind of position on all of this. Nothing is pushing them out of their house. They don't have to move. They sure would like to, and it makes sense for them to. They just don't feel like competing in a seller-driven market. Well, if that's you, I'm telling you, we have a large list of buyers for property that are ready to purchase a home like yours, should it go on the market. And we have a lot of sellers that are in the same position. So if you'll just allow us to see if we can match up your wants and needs with a seller's wants and needs, or vice versa, it might be a really nice and easy way to facilitate a transaction. That's what I think agents have really gotten away from, that makes a huge difference in a market like this. But anyways, we're talking about investors. So let me get back on track here, because they're going to look at things like pre-foreclosures. They're going to start to respond to some of these websites, these kind of clickbait websites that ask you to pay to see a list of foreclosure properties. And here's, I think, what's really important to understand. Once this stuff starts happening, and it will, don't get me wrong, and I'm willing to, obviously say that out loud here, there will be entities that will start selling lists of foreclosures. You will have to pay for that. By the time you get that information, you might be able to pick off something here and there, but it's public knowledge. Everybody knows about it. It's more competition, just like we have right now with basically any property that hits the market. So you want to, as an investor, figure out a way to get in front of somebody before someone else does. And I'm just here to tell you that even that is going to be very challenging right now. I met with someone else this week that owns several investment properties, and on essentially any property they own, it's tough for them to go more than a week without getting some sort of solicitation by someone saying they want to buy the house. So it's very saturated right now. Having said that, they're out there. I mean, I have a deal under contract right now that I'll close on in likely the next 30 days. That is a flip opportunity, and so long as we can control the cost associated with renovating it and not get too crazy, then it will be a win-win situation for the seller and for me as the investor. So I thought it might be helpful for you as a listener to understand some of the questions that I would ask you if you want to meet with me and you want to talk about being an investor. And I do want you to understand that we as agents come across all different forms of quote unquote investors just in the course of our daily conversations with folks. I'm looking for a good deal. Just because you're looking for a good deal isn't necessarily consistent with you labeling yourself as an investor. So what we need to understand is really several things. And so the questions that we would ask would first and foremost be, have you invested in real estate before? Not have you bought a home for yourself and your family or sold a home and bought another, but have you actually invested in property, either as a flip or a buy and hold? Where did you invest? Was it local or was it somewhere else? What were those market conditions like, consistent, and how do those compare to market conditions here and now? Did you flip? Did you buy and hold? Have you done both? What sort of success did you see with your previous investments? And then we're going to start to ask a few more specific questions. And these are things that, if you're listening and you're curious to either get into real estate investing or you kind of label yourself as an investor right now, maybe you've done it a time or two, maybe some good questions for you to consider and think about, so that when an agent that really understands how to work with an investor starts asking you these questions, you know how to respond. You've thought about where you want to invest, how you're going to do it, so on and so forth. So, one of the questions that we ask is, what areas or segments of this market are you focused on investing in, or where would you not invest? Geographically speaking, where are you focused on? Where do you want to avoid? And then this is probably one of the most important questions we ask. What investment criteria do you use to determine whether or not you want to invest in a particular property? I mean, more specifically, what is your required rate of return, and what's your preferred method for calculating that? Is it cash on cash return? Is it cap rate? Is it before or after tax? We've got some fantastic tools that shows you the actual after tax net ROI after taking into consideration things like your mortgage interest deduction if you're getting a mortgage, and depreciation, and the ability for equity to essentially be bought down through payments, through rental payments, through tenants, and so on and so forth. And so we've got this great calculator that shows the actual ROI on a property after tax, so that you can compare it to something like the after-tax ROI on owning stocks. We as agents, I don't know of very many agents that actually have the ability to help you look at a property and compare it in an apples to apples fashion to something like owning stocks. What most agents do is they say, well, you can buy it for, $100,000, and you're going to make $10,000 in rent on it a year. So it's a 10% return on investment. No, it is not. There's way more that goes into that calculation that they have missed, that mean actual differences in your ROI. So, what sort of level of experience do you as an investor have with that? Have you consulted with a CPA? Do you want to pay cash for these investments? Do you have access to capital? Are you going to borrow the money through a mortgage? You're going to get short-term funding? Do you need recommendations for things like that? In addition to running a real estate team and doing this radio show, I also invest in real estate. I buy and hold if I find a good deal. I flip properties if I find good deals. I lend money to other investors to do the same thing if they find good deals. So I kind of attack things from several different angles so that I can use my knowledge of real estate to help me acquire wealth in real estate. I mean, that's really one of the reasons why I got into real estate, probably the main reason why I got into real estate in the first place. And yes, that sounds a little self-serving. Maybe your expectation listening to this program is that, when asked why I got into real estate, it's because I give the answer of, well, I just love helping people and finding their dream home and blah, blah, blah. And, look, of course I love doing that. I wouldn't have been doing this for 16 years had I not been passionate about helping people. Of course I am. But I am passionate as well about using my knowledge of the market and transactions and exposing myself to enough opportunity to create generational wealth through real estate ownership so that myself and my family are taken care of and financially secure. That's one of the benefits of doing what I do, is that we get to use the income we generate by helping people to then help ourselves. But that comes first, helping people. So if you're an investor, if you're thinking about getting into investing, if you just don't really know where to start, we coach people to become investors. A lot of our past clients have become investors, and now they're benefiting from, what we like to call mailbox money, because they were open to the idea of using real estate to create wealth for themselves. So if that's something that interests you, you want to learn more about investing in real estate. Maybe you're an investor right now, you need access to some more deals. Like I said, we'll probably put 30 or more investor-based properties on the market just this month alone. So we understand the process. If you'd like more information on it, you're an investor yourself, maybe you need to sell a property fairly quickly, we have access to cash. I will buy it for cash. We have other investors that will purchase it if I won't. So there should never be a reason why your property goes back to the bank. We can either negotiate with the bank or with the person trying to foreclose on you. But either way, give us a chance to help you and create a win-win situation. If that's something you're interested in, give me a call, 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. You can go to listingsincharleston.com, contact us there, look at the properties we have for sale, learn more about us, all kinds of great stuff on that site, listingsincharleston.com. Stick around. We'll be right back with more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.